Hi, I'm Kevin Eikenberry, and I'm here to help you reach your potential as a leader and a human being. Welcome to Remarkable TV and the Remarkable Leadership Podcast. If you happen to be watching on YouTube, I'm so very glad you're here. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future episodes. Today's episode, I'm asking you an important question. It is, how personally do I take things? Good question. Are you ready? Let's get started. Let me ask you a couple things to ponder for a second. The first one is, has anyone ever gotten defensive after you did something or told them something, right? Like you tell someone something, you do something, and they get defensive. And even if you didn't mean for them to take it personally, have you ever experienced someone doing that? I'm guessing you have. Now the next question is, how well did the conversation go after that? Probably not all that awesome, or it took some time to sort of unpack that, right? So when someone gets defensive with us, it doesn't go so well. So now the question is, have you ever taken something personally and then have your conversation or your relationship go sideways? I'm guessing the answer is another yes. So the question that I have for you is, how helpful is it for us to take things personally? Now, I think your own sort of mental conversation, as I've asked you these other questions, says it's not all that helpful. Now, I know it's hard. Like, don't misunderstand me. I know it's hard. So the question I have for you today is, how can we stop? Like, if we all do it, like we get defensive, and yet it's not very helpful, what could we do to stop? Well, I've got a number of things to consider, and I know that this is a complex topic, and what I'm going to share might not solve all of the issues or answer all of your questions, but I do think the ideas I'm going to share with you real quickly here will be very helpful and useful to you, taken as a whole or taken as individual pieces. So here we go. The first one is, assume positive intent. Now, I've talked about that on Remarkable TV before. The idea is, well, I don't know what their intention is, but I'm just going to assume that they want the best for me in this conversation. And you may say, well, Kevin, that's really hard for me to do. I'm not sure I can do that. That's fair. So if you can't assume positive intent, how about assume benign intent? Like, they're sharing this observation with you. It may not have anything to do with you at all. They may be angry, but their reason for their anger might not have anything to do with you either. Something else is going on. It's just showing up here. Like, their intent related to you might not be existing. It's not about you, right? It may feel like it, but maybe it's not. And so you say, well, Kevin, I don't even know if I can do that. Well, then, okay. Then I would say this: don't worry about their intent. Like, you're never going to know what their intent is anyway, unless they tell you, right? And if they do tell you and they say, I didn't mean it personally, then just take that for what it is. But like, if you don't know what their intent is, don't worry about it. And even if the way it lands on you is difficult, do this. Take a deep breath. Just take a deep breath. Because I don't know about you. It's much easier for my buttons to get pushed or for me to get defensive if I don't take a deep breath. But if I'll take a deep breath and be present in it and just for a second say, whoa, that deep breath might help me. And maybe what I need to do then is to remove myself, right? Maybe you need to remove yourself at that moment. That you say, like, any more that I say or do here probably isn't going to help us. So maybe the best thing for me to do is to let this go, for us to talk about it another time or whatever, right? So remove yourself. But maybe once you take the deep breath, you say, I really want to continue this conversation, or situation says I really can't remove myself in this moment. So what do you do then? Well, then ask clarifying questions, right? If you can stay curious, you will less likely to be defensive. And so by asking clarifying questions to better understand what they're saying, what they saw, what their perspective is, there may be something there for you, right? And after you ask clarifying questions, or as you're asking that, keep telling yourself, it's not about me personally. It's not about me. It might be about what I did or what I said about my behavior, but my behavior is not me, right? So focus on what you can learn. Now, focusing on what you can learn I'm not saying focus on what you can change, because you can focus on what they're telling you, what you're hearing, and you may not act on it. That's okay. But in any case, you will better understand what they see. And that's useful, even if you don't agree. And each of those things that I've just described can be very useful. And each of those things can be very difficult. And so maybe what you just need to do is move on or let it go. And maybe you do all of those things and still choose to just move on. But if we can remember that regardless of their intent, that we can listen to what they see about our behavior or about what we did, and we don't have to make that about who we are. If we can do those things, we will take things a little less personally. We'll probably help our communication. We'll likely help our relationships. We'll probably get better results. Is it easy? No. Is it helpful? Absolutely. Before we go, if you found this useful, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I do a very short email newsletter, 200-300 words most of those days. It's called Your Remarkable Day. It comes at the start of your day to help you have a more remarkable day. If any of what I've just shared with you is resonating, then I'm guessing that newsletter, Your Remarkable Day, will resonate, and you will find it valuable as well. You can learn more about that by going to kevineikenberry.com/newsletters, or by clicking the links that you might see where you are right now. Before we go, let me close with today's remarkable reminder. Defensiveness doesn't help communication, trust, or relationships. Be careful not to assume everything is a personal slight.